The dawn of civilization. Primitive. Dangerous. Exciting. The handwriting is on the wall. If the human race is ever going to amount to anything, it needs
the most civilized caveman I have ever seen.
Look who's come out of his cave.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. This is James from Cave Dweller Music, and I have my co-host Brendan with me again today. Today we're joined by Jake from Chrome Ghost. Brendan and I have both been longtime fans of your band. It's really awesome to have you on the show. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And do you want to just maybe tell people who don't know the band what you guys do and who you are?
Yeah, Chrome Ghost is a Sacramento, California-based, very sad, dramatic kind of doom metal band in so many words. I play guitar and I sing, and I'm kind of the band dad as well. I do all the behind-the-scenes stuff for the most part.
Nice.
That's the stuff that you don't really get in the credits on the album, so thanks for letting everyone know.
I could put that in there if I wanted to. I could put band dad in the credits.
I think we should normalize that. That should be a standard industry thing.
Yeah. I mean, my bandmates aren't here, but I'm clearly band dad, and then Jacob, the drummer, is band mom, and then Joe, the bass player, is the baby Joe. And there is absolutely, I can say that in full confidence that they're not here, that they would both agree.
It's great. Everyone knows their place.
Yeah.
So we want to get you on, obviously, because you just brought out House of Falling Ash recently, which was on my album of the list year from 2022. Absolutely killer release. One of my favorites from you guys so far. So love it.
Yeah. Stunning album.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. We kind of gambled a little bit on some of our ideas, and I think that they worked out for the most part. It's been really interesting to see not only how much love that's been given to the music, but also kind of what people are most responding to is not necessarily what I would have thought. I think the two songs that I thought were going to be like everyone would lose their shit, oh my god, this is the craziest thing ever, those are the two like least played songs on the album. And then the two that were kind of just like the more off the cuff, or even the more kind of stitched together songs, are the ones that people seem to be responding the most to. So it's helping me kind of figure out like what part of my writing process is actually the most effective and connects with the most people. And is it more of the intuitive thing, or is it more of like the crazy planned out kind of thing? So it's been an interesting experience so far. Overwhelmingly positive for sure, but definitely interesting.
That's awesome. I mean, that's the thing. If you're a band that doesn't really play with your sound or change things up, you never really learn what people would be willing to accept. So I mean, like bands like Opeth are like, they change stuff so often that they've kind of figured out, I guess, over the period of their career, what people didn't like each time they changed sounds.
And the Opeth is a band that I've never listened to, that we get compared to all the time. I find it really interesting.
That is interesting, because I definitely thought that you guys were kind of like influenced by them. So that's funny that you say that.
Yeah, I never even heard an Opeth song until somebody told me that we sounded like Opeth, and I listened to, I think, maybe one or two songs, and that's been my entire Opeth experience so far.
I wouldn't say like personally that you sound so much like Opeth. I just see like some similarities between the two, with like the balancing of the harsher and more mellow elements, and then like some of the songwriting. But your sound's pretty different, I would say, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. When I listened to the music, I was like, oh, okay, I understand why we're kind of painting with the same colors at some points.
Right, exactly. So
same thing with like Alice in Chains, and I think especially the first record, there's all those like parallel fifths that we did with the vocal harmonies and stuff. And but Alice in Chains is another band that I barely listen to. I've only listened to Alice in Chains on the radio for most of my life, so I think it's just like sometimes some things just get stuck in your DNA and you can't get them out. And I think maybe they're so big that that's kind of the frame of reference.
I think so. It's like one of those things. It's like when you're a thrash band, someone's always going to compare you to like one of the big four at some point, even if you don't sound that much like them.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
So what sort of inspired the change in sound? Like, what was the motivation behind making the album the way it is?
I mean, we're always writing and we're always interested in doing something that we haven't done just so we don't get bored. I mean, previously I had said that, I was paying a lot of attention to what people were emotionally connected to, and that's a huge part of what I want to get out of this is I want to make music that people like and are connected to, but at the same time, that has to fit within what I'm interested in making. And we're only making music that we're interested in making. And I think that that's been morphing over the years. And I think Jacob, the drummer, just suggested at some point or threw out the word Americana, and he's like, we should try to incorporate these types of feelings and moods into the songs. And then I took it as kind of like a challenge, and I think it worked out great because there's just these, it becomes a game of finding these little holes in the songs and going, okay, can we fit this little twangy part in there? And then when you zoom out, it all makes sense. Right. That's the most important part. It's not supposed to feel tacked on or like silly, or I didn't even want it to sound like an experiment, because sounding like an experiment to me implies a lack of confidence in what we're doing. And I felt like we were pretty confident, even though we knew that it might not work.
I would definitely agree. I think the album felt very comfortable in itself. It didn't feel like it was a transitional phase. Yeah, a transitional phase is like similar sort of phrasing as like experiment. It felt like you were there. It didn't feel like you were playing with things.
Well, that's cool. That means it worked.
I think so.
Right.
And
we're always interested in doing new stuff, and like how far away can we get from what we're doing and it still be a recognizable version of what we've always done.
Yeah. I think with like doing what you're doing, with like having it just like beautiful and melancholic, and then all of a sudden just crushing and heavy, and, and like the way you like sing, like all of that, like that, the formula that you have is great. Just keep making a different story.
It's definitely a formula for sure. I mean, we talk about it. It's not on accident that, it's loud, quiet, loud kind of stuff like, you would hear on a Nirvana record. The fun part for me is stretching that dynamic range to as far as it can go. Like, how quiet can we make the quiet part? How loud can the loud part be? And now I'm interested in how subtly can we get from one end of the spectrum to the other. I don't know if you guys heard the new Russian Circles album.
Yep.
But that song, oh my God, the one that they did the video for, I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's one of the best examples I can think of transition, because from the beginning to the end of the song is the most perfect transition between movements and riffs that I've heard in a long time. And I was just blown away by that. And now I'm kind of thinking like, oh, maybe I should take a leaf out of their book and see what I can get away with. The song is called Gnosis.
Right.
Gnosis.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just this perfect build. And I can't think of another song that I've heard in recent years that moved so, like, it's like, the whole thing with the frog in the boiling water, where if you drop a frog in boiling water, it'll jump out. But if you turn it up slow enough over time, it kills the frog. They killed the frog. Like, it all happens so perfectly that you don't even notice until you get to the end and you're like getting sledgehammered.
Yeah.
So I might be remembering this wrong, but that, like, side note, but that frog analogy, I remember someone telling me that it actually ended up being fake. Like, the dude who did those experiments actually took out part of the frog's brains before he put them in the water and like faked the results to try and like prove that he was onto something. It may not be true, but I've heard that before.
So are you trying to say that my whole argument is bullshit now?
Oh no, your argument stands up. Just that's what I said. Side note, unrelated to your premise.
That's funny. It's too concerned with getting the result that you want. So, and maybe that sounds like there's honestly now there's two allegorical kind of philosophical bents to this whole thing. It's that
exactly
there's the surface allegory, and then now there's this deep allegory of fudging the numbers, basically.
Exactly. There's another one like that as well with the lemming one. You know, the whole lemmings off a cliff thing.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Disney doing the documentary and killing a bunch of lemmings so that they could make up some weird shit about how they jump off cliffs.
Right. They were just chasing them off the cliffs off camera.
Well, I mean, what's the famous one? There's the documentary Nanook of the North. It was like the first pop culture documentary like hit, and it's like significantly fabricated the events of the movie.
It was about a hitchhiker, right?
No, Nanook of the North is about like I don't know if this is the right word anymore, but like an Eskimo guy.
It
It was like the first widespread awareness that people had of the indigenous people that live like way up at there. You know,
Yeah.
that's where we got all of our cultural ideas of what those people did, and it all came from a documentary that was just like manipulated and stretched.
Yeah. He's just like wearing a sheep coat.
Yeah, I mean, probably every like Eskimo iconography or design that we've ever seen comes from that documentary still to this day.
I've never understood people like thinking that they're not going to get caught out with this when it's something that's so public.
Well, this happened in like the 20s.
Right. Okay. Less fact checking back then, I guess.
Yeah, people were just like, wow, this is on the movie. I guess
Way
this
less
is real
internet.
life now.
Exactly. It's do you remember that band Ghost Bath that claimed they were Chinese?
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember before that was found out. Jacob, my drummer, telling me about, you got to hear this weird Chinese black metal band,
And they're from North Dakota.
yeah. I mean, good for them. Whatever. Fuck it. Like,
Right?
I respect it.
Yeah, it's a marketing ploy.
It's like, it's funny that like being foreign is, the marketing play.
Well, you got to think there's probably a big splash effect from that of all of a sudden people are Googling Chinese black metal. Now there's probably a bunch of actual Chinese black metal musicians whose band camps blew up over the years because of this lie.
I mean, that's definitely cool. Like, there's always a ripple effect of like good,
Right. It's a silver lining to the lie. But
Right.
I mean, there actually is a fantastic Chinese black metal scene. We actually posted a review this morning from a Chinese black metal band.
Oh shit! All right.
Yeah, some good stuff. It's just like it doesn't get much exposure, and like the issue is that obviously they can't have socials, but being based in China, so they have to have people outside of the country run them like a third party person manage their socials. So it's interesting.
There's a lot of places on Earth where being in a metal band can get you in serious trouble, which is so funny to think about.
Definitely, it's like you take it for granted living in a country like the US or Australia.
Yeah, I mean, here, you're not going to get in trouble. People just might think you're a loser, which is fine.
Yeah,
You probably are.
If not both, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to just look back a little bit because obviously we loved House of Falling Ash, but the album that introduced me to you guys and the one that Brendan showed me was the Diving Bell. And we're also huge fans of that one. So is there anything you would like to say about that album?
Yeah, I mean, I've said it before, but the funny, ironic aspect of that album is that me and myself in particular, I was so depressed with how it turned out after it was done that we didn't even do anything with it for months. We didn't show anybody. It was done, and we're like, all right, whatever, let's move on.
What?
And yeah, I don't know. So things don't always turn out the way that you expect them to, and I think back then I was still so deep into my own expectations that I was frustrated with the way that it turned out and couldn't reconcile my feelings about it. And then we played a show in Oakland with this great band called Oryx, Oryx.
Yeah.
And
From Colorado?
yeah, and James from Transylvanian was there, and he was like, hey, what's up with that record? And I was like, oh, I don't know. We haven't done anything. He's like, no, you got to put it out like ASAP. Like, let's do it. He's like, it's almost the end of the year. And I think from that conversation, we put the record out like, I don't even know, like 4 or 6 weeks later,
Yeah,
based on
that's where I found it
his
was from
recommendation.
Transylvanian Recordings.
Yeah, that was a big thing for us. And the other, there's a second layer of silliness to the Transylvanian story because I had been a fan of what James was doing for a long time. The first Chrome Ghost show ever was Swamp Witch was the one of the headlining bands, and I didn't even know I didn't know anybody at that point. I didn't know
Yeah.
anybody in the music scene at all. And from that first show that we played, there's still people that I'm friends with to this day, including Patrick Hills, who records all of our stuff. Chris Lemus from the band Church, who has booked us on tons of great shows and has really helped us and kind of championed the band. James from Transylvanian, and even more people that I've maintained good relationships with to this day. But I had sent James the first EP we did, Reflection Pool, and I was like, hey, check this out. And I sent him a tape that I had made.
Yeah.
And we got into this weird thing where we both wanted to work together, and I think we were both sending hints to each other, and the other person just didn't receive the hints at all. It was ridiculous. Like, years went by, and he was going like, wow, I guess he doesn't want to work with me. And I was thinking like, wow, I guess he doesn't want to work with me either. And then, he just like one day was just like, hey, why haven't we released anything together? And I was like, oh, I don't know. I thought you weren't into it. And he's like, no, what are you talking about? And I was just being too insecure, and I think that came off as like aloof to him, where I was just like didn't need whatever he had to offer. But once we teamed up, it was a very potent combination. He's been a great help and a good friend to the band.
That's awesome.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was like diving through his discography there, everything he's got. And I came across that, and I was like, oh my God, dude, this is like one of my favorite, like it's one of my all-time favorite albums. Like, I love that. I love it to pieces. It's great.
Well,
so I'm
awesome
glad that you took the plunge.
I
to
like
do
it now. I think it's great now, but I mean, I still hear the things that I don't like about it now, but they don't hurt my feelings when I hear it anymore.
Yeah.
Was the public reception like as warm as it was for this album for that one as well, or?
Yeah, it was a little different,
Okay.
but that was still, we were totally blown away. We were like, oh shit, like what the fuck is going on? It all of a sudden started opening doors, and people are paying attention. And I think from the Diving Bell, not that these metrics truly matter, but they are an indicator of how things are going. But our social media presence like tripled in size.
Nice.
In a couple months. And that makes me think that we're doing something that's getting people's attention, which is a good thing.
Making fucking awesome music, man.
Yeah. And then like Mike Scheidt from Yob all of a sudden is posting about us on his Facebook. And
wow.
That's the kind of stuff where I was like, oh shit, what's going on here? The main difference between this record and the last one, the Diving Bell, is with the Diving Bell, we did no lead up to it at all. We just like put it out one day. It was like, here we go. And this new one, we worked hard with Seeing Red to kind of have a plan. Tom from Seeing Red was very instrumental in laying out it was like a 6-month, hit these points kind of goals. And man, it shows when you actually have a plan to do things instead of just like, you can have a plan to just drop something and, mic drop and walk away all cool, but that wasn't the case with us. We just kind of like put it out there for lack of a better idea. And with House of Falling Ash, we were a lot smarter about things and had more help and more awareness of what we should have been doing. And, it made a much bigger splash, which was, I'm a paranoid, insecure person. So I was like, what the fuck? Like, articles coming up, this is the best album of the year. And I'm sitting there going like, all right, what's their game? Why are they saying this? what's the? Yeah, I'm looking for some weird Machiavellian kind of motivation behind somebody giving me a compliment, which is obviously a little unhealthy. So I've been getting better about it.
I mean, that kind of shows the how important it can be to have a good label, at least a label that can help guide you in those areas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And Seeing Red is a fantastic label. So how did you come to work with them?
Shoot, when the diving bell came out, I think it was like a week or two, or maybe even up to a month after the diving bell came out. Tom from Seeing Red sent me an email going like, "Hey, can we put this out?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, of course." And one of the reasons that we didn't have a bigger splash is because we started working with a label after the record was out already, which is not
Right.
really how people do things. Um, and we kind of, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought right now.
It's all good.
I started thinking like 5 steps ahead of what I was actually going to say. Um, we put out, a limited run of 250 records, and then they sold out in just a couple months. And then we were all kind of just standing around going like, oh shit, I guess we better try this again and do it better next time. So that's basically what we did. House of Falling Ash with Seeing Red was kind of like a take two of let's see what we can do when we actually put our minds to it in a
Yeah.
teamwork kind of way.
And have you been touring to promote the album?
Say that one more time.
Have you been touring for this album?
No. So we had some medical issues within the band that made it uncertain of what we were going to be able to accomplish. And even during the recording of the album, Jacob, our drummer, had a torn ligament in his knee.
Oh.
And he was like, "Hey, I have to get knee surgery." And I said, "Okay, well, we'll postpone the recording." And he's like, "No, it's fine. I'll just schedule the surgery for after the recording." So that whole album, his right knee was busted, and that's the kick drum knee, and so we're used to kind of challenges. I mean, we postponed the recording of the diving bell because I broke my wrist.
Huh.
And so shit happens all the time, and the same thing happened, after or just this kind of during the fall of last year, before the record came out, we were thinking, okay, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to do X, Y, Z, and then all of a sudden we're having problems again, and so we weren't able to plan anything based on that because we didn't know what was happening. People are getting CAT scans and MRIs and shit, and we're going, okay, well, we better not put anything on the calendar just in case, because I'd rather not cancel stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And have to explain everything 50 times. But the good thing is that we're all doing okay now.
That's good.
And
Yay!
we're working on, yeah, exactly. We've got things that we're working on that if it happens will be really cool, and if it doesn't happen, we got plan B. So I would expect people to see us in a town other than Sacramento this year. I'll say that.
That's great. I mean, if you come to the West Coast, I'll be there for sure.
Yeah, where you guys?
Well, I mean,
located?
you're on the West Coast. That's right. I just
East
thinking
Coast.
about that.
Come to Hartford.
What's that? Connecticut?
Yeah.
All right, let me write that down.
No,
No, I'd love to. The East Coast sounds awesome.
It's
We
funny.
had
Go ahead.
Yeah. You probably get some good show responses around Boston area too, New York,
I mean, I'd love to. We had one of the little things that we weren't able to do was Dallas Seeger from Seeger Guitars, who built a guitar that I play, and I'm currently talking to him about having another guitar built, is in a great band called Manic Abraxas, and they're so weird and it's so sick. It's like it's hard for me to even describe what it is, but it's like primitive heavy metal, hard rock kind of stuff. And he was like, "Hey, it'd be really cool if you guys could come out here," because they're based in Maine, and do like an East Coast run. And we were trying to figure that out for a minute, but the medical issue stuff kind of put the kibosh on that. But yeah, I'll play anywhere. I mean, if somebody was like, "Come to Albania and play," I'd be like, "All right, let's fucking go to Albania."
Hell yeah.
I just want to get out and play shows and have fun, and meet people. We've had quite a bit of bad luck over the course of 7 years, along with all the good luck that we've had. So we
Yeah.
just kind of hope for the best and just keep on trucking.
I was just gonna say the whole come to the West Coast thing is just like a subconscious thing for me because like 90%, I swear 90% of the guests we've had on the show are either from the East Coast or the South. Like we just never get people from down here. So it's nice to actually be speaking to someone who could easily tour through where I live.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame anyone for not knowing where Sacramento is. It's not exactly, the bastion of culture and light and beauty, but it's not bad either. I don't give a shit. I live in the suburbs. I don't care. I enjoy the half-mile radius around my house is my favorite place. So I don't give a shit about anything other than that.
Well, I heard you guys have a pretty cool like old town. Like your historic district is pretty sweet.
I've never heard somebody say that it's pretty cool.
Oh, really?
I appreciate it.
I've never been. I've just had people tell me. So
It's fine. It's like, a little riverfront kind of thing. There's a bunch of old buildings and like boardwalks and stuff. It's also just, I feel like everywhere you go, at least everywhere that I go, you can't escape just like people acting gnarly and, poop and pee. Maybe that's just California, but
that's California.
yeah.
Yeah. It's the warmest place to be all year round, It's like
fuck. Yeah, I don't care. Like, I'm not too hard on cities or whatever because I just don't like to go outside and meet strangers anyway. So I have no particular bias against most places.
No, that's fair enough. Are you into like? This is a random question, but it just always comes up on our show that people seem to be into this. But are you interested at all about like horror movies and serial killers or any of that stuff?
Sure. Horror movies, yeah. Serial killer stuff, I'm kind of over that point in my life.
Okay.
I was a big true crime kid. I remember being, 12 or 13 or whatever, and actually even before that, I saw, you guys remember Rotten.com?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So my friend down the street when I was in 5th grade was like, "Hey, have you ever heard of Rotten.com? Come over and check it out." We would go over and look at it or whatever, and that kind of, I was already interested in horror movies and stuff since I was a little kid, but then when the real life horror stuff became part of my awareness, I got really into it. Even my own dad would be like, why are you reading this? Why are you watching this? Like, I don't get it. And I'd be like, I don't know. I'm just learning stuff. It's interesting. And through my teen years, my friends and I were all kind of into like, what's the craziest shit, or, watch this or do that. But now I feel like I've really slowly over time just gotten less interested. And it could have just been because I was so into it for so long, but now I feel all these weird moral implications of kind of spending a lot of time putting thought and spending my life reading about people that have like only done bad shit, and it becomes kind of I don't know. I don't want to feel like I'm contributing to a overarching like psychosphere of like they're being
Degenerate
exalted
shit.
in this weird way. Well, and it's just I'm a super straight-laced person. Like I'm in my real life, I'm like as square as it gets. I'm a serial monogamist. I've been with the same woman for 12 years. I'm straight edge. I've never had drugs or alcohol. I live like a virtuous life where I try to help people and treat people really well. And but I've always also been interested in just crazy shit. I think because I'm so straight-laced, I'm always like, what are the fucking wackos of the world up to?
Yeah,
But
take a peek in there.
Also, at a certain point, you have to start factoring in pain and suffering into the equation. And for me, I don't want to derive that much pleasure from other people's pain and suffering.
Right. No, that's fair. I understand that.
And
Yeah.
that's I'll still read an article if some crazy shit happens. I always want to know about it, but it doesn't occupy my mind so much. But horror stuff for sure. I love horror movies. I'm a big movie guy. I always have been. So
That's also, I'll get back to that in a second because I want to ask you about some of your favorite movies. But the reason I was bringing it up is you actually have one of the more interesting serial killer cases in Sacramento in the 80s. I don't know if you
can I
know.
guess which one it is? Oh, if
Yeah,
it's in
yeah.
the 80s, it's Dorothea Puente, right?
Yeah, that's the one. I found that
Yeah.
one like fascinating just because it was like it's one of the few ones where it wasn't motivated. It was it was actually monetarily motivated.
Yeah, it's purely just greed, which is
Yeah,
unusual. And it's
exactly.
unusual for a
What?
woman. There's all kinds of. Do you know about this one?
I don't think so. It doesn't sound familiar at all.
Okay, so the Dorothea Puente house in Sacramento is kind of like a little like unofficial landmark, and it was basically there was an old lady who would rent out house, her rooms in her house to other old folks, and she would kill them, bury them in the backyard, and take
Oh
their social
yeah.
security checks.
Okay. Yes. 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 And then they would. She would just like keep on keeping on like they were alive.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And
So
I think
she's a local legend of ill repute for sure.
she
Oof.
ended up getting caught because of one guy's family that wouldn't accept like
That
her
that she just
story.
like wasn't like she
Mm.
was like busy or something weird like that. Like right. Like
Yeah, it was some guy. They said that he had taken a ride to another. I think he was Mexican, and they said he'd gone back to Mexico to visit family or something. And he obviously
oh
like
right.
he didn't do that because he had like mental health problems and stuff. So they started like asking questions, and then she got investigated, and then they dug up. It was a ton of bodies. It was like a lot of bodies in the yard. She buried them all in the yard.
Yeah, they were like she was like planting gardens and shit with him, right?
Exactly. Yep, that's the one.
Well, if you want
Yep.
the real crazy one from Sacramento is Richard Chase. Do you know Richard Chase?
I don't think I know him. Hang on.
No.
Chase.
Richard Chase is referred to, I think, as the Sacramento Vampire.
Huh.
Oh boy.
So this is in the 70s. He had this delusion that his blood was drying up and that he needed to drink blood to survive.
Wow.
And I don't think he killed a bunch of people, but it was like really, really fucked up, like home invasion, just like slashing people with knives and shit. And when he got caught, I think he got caught because he attacked someone in broad daylight, like at a park, and cut someone and tried to drink their blood or whatever. And then they caught him, and then obviously realized, oh, this is the guy that just killed, like 7 other people. And
Hey.
his infamous quote is they asked him, why did you target these people? Because he went into somebody's house and killed, I think, like 2 people in one incident, and he said the door was unlocked. So that was
That's
his
it?
whole reasoning behind why he picked those people to be his victims, is because he tried their door and it was unlocked. That was his signal that it was time to do whatever he was going to do.
He's like,
Wow.
all right, this door's unlocked. My blood's drying up. He's
Yeah.
also the worst vampire. If he's out, like he's breaking all the rules of vampires, like that I know of.
Well, he might have been a little desperate from the sounds of it, so you kind of have to bend the rules, I guess. But
Right, right.
yeah, that's the only other. I think those are the 2 notable killers of in Sacramento. It's a very bizarre stories for both, and I think they
Yeah.
actually reference. I think they reference Richard Chase, if I remember correctly, in Mindhunter, the Netflix series that got canceled.
That was so interesting. I was pretty bummed out when actually Netflix didn't cancel that one. The director ended up moving on to something else and said he may come back to it. So there's still a chance that
Oh,
may
really?
continue. Yeah. Mhm.
I didn't know that. Maybe I didn't read hard enough. Yeah, I mean, I love David Fincher making a series, and the subject matter was pretty wild. I liked the perspective of the show being like nobody even knew what was going on or how to classify what was going on.
Right.
So they had formed this team or whatever, and I didn't love the main actor, but the supporting guy, his buddy, the big like blockhead dude,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
fantastic, and he's got bit roles in other David Fincher movies too. He's an interesting actor.
Yeah, he was. He was good. He the flat top dude.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he's actually. Have you guys seen Alien 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's in that. He plays like a crazy like rapist guy.
Huh.
The first like 45 minutes of that movie are so sick, and I was like, this is going to be the best movie ever. And then it just fucking falls apart. and that's one of those like infamous troubled sets, I guess, with filmmaking. But I believe that was, I could be wrong, but I think that was David Fincher's first feature-length film that he had directed after all the music videos that he had done.
Was that the one that was set in the prison? Or was that
Yeah.
And it had like the different breed of alien. It was like a runner because it came from like it was really thin and fast instead of like the regular strong one.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what the movie wasn't good enough for me to like retain all the information from it.
Right.
But there's definitely a weird alien that came out of something else. I think there was an alien that came out of a dog.
Yes, that's what it was. It was a dog.
It was a dog?
Cat, it might have been a cat or a dog. It was an animal, though, I remember. Yeah.
Something like that, yeah. But that movie did not
live up to its
promise.
Ripley's cat.
That's right.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so diverting back slightly to something you said before, what are some of your favorite horror movies?
I'm always a big proponent and diehard defender of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Nice.
I don't think that it's one of the best horror movies ever made. I think it's one of the best movies ever made.
Nice.
And I think that it's incredibly unique in its position as an American independent film, first of all, and as a horror film. And it's just one of those once every decade kind of lightning in a bottle movies that, Tobe Hooper was never able to recapture the magic from Texas Chainsaw, no matter what he did, which is a shame because that movie is incredible, and you would think that it would lead to like the most illustrious film career after that, but he didn't really do anything of note except for Poltergeist, and it's arguable whether or not he was even the true mastermind behind Poltergeist because you have the influence of Steven Spielberg, which to me is more obvious watching the movie. But Texas Chainsaw is undeniable to me. When I watch it, I notice the sound design and the editing, and it's like they accidentally made the best movie ever, because I don't get the feeling when I'm watching it that it's made by like an auteur, like a master of his craft, but it's like a punk record. It's like when you listen to, I don't know, the first Ramones record, you're like, wow, these guys kind of knew what they wanted to do, and somehow it all just hit at the right moment, and it's just perfect, exactly perfect for what it is, and it makes a huge, bold, and very simple statement. And to me, that's Texas Chainsaw Massacre for sure.
Right, I agree. And I think
everything else that's come out of it is just such shit. Texas Chainsaw 2 is funny and silly, but it just doesn't work. And then everything else to come out of it is just so dumb and bad, and it's like they didn't even they liked the original movie, but they didn't understand anything about what made it good.
Right. And I think you can kind of say the same compliments to some extent about Evil Dead, the original one as well. It's like
I love the Evil Dead.
Those are my favorites.
Evil Dead 2 is like a better movie, but I like Evil Dead 1 more.
Right. Yeah, same.
Right. It was like they tried so hard to like be like crazy, like evil and all this like scary, and then it was just like kind of funny.
Yeah. And it's also one of the few times that the remake was actually good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I don't love it. I've only seen it once in the theater, and I remember thinking like, oh, this is, all right. There's the cool, doesn't it like rain blood at the end?
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. It's kind of hard not to like that. But I know that Park Chan-wook, the Korean director, at some point expressed interest in making Evil Dead 4.
Okay.
And that would have been insane. And I'm always a little bummed when I think about that franchise that never happened.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, have you seen the show?
Yes.
Ash.
No, I haven't watched it. There's something in my mind that's been blocking me from wanting to watch it. I like Bruce Campbell a lot, but
it's much more of a comedy. It's like it's gone down much more of like a comedic route, I guess, because it's focused on his character, obviously, so it's going to be funny.
And he does like that, like maybe like Elvis-y kind of style. I don't know how to describe it.
It's fun. You can't take it too seriously, but it's a lot of fun.
It's gory.
My favorite thing about the first movie is how serious they were taking it, and so like the fact that they get less serious over time to me is kind of like the wrong move, but I still appreciate, the three movies or whatever. And I went to a screening of The Evil Dead last year with Bruce Campbell doing live commentary, and that
Oh
was
wow,
really fun. It was
that's
literally
awesome.
him sitting on stage with like a DVD remote and pausing the movie and talking about it while we were all in the theater, and that was great. That dude is a consummate professional and like really funny, like really really funny, like as funnier than some stand-up comedians that I've seen live. Just him riffing and talking, like doing crowd work, just
Yeah.
talking to people in the front rows. I was like, this guy is fucking brilliant. Made me appreciate Bruce Campbell quite a bit more than I already did, which was a lot to begin with.
Yeah. Hell
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Some
Anything
people
else?
shrink when you see them in real life, and some people grow, and he grew.
Definitely, 100%. You can say the same thing with some like live performances from musicians as well.
Right.
Yes, there are definitely bands that I didn't get it until I saw it live.
Yep. Yep. And then other bands, like I kind of lose some respect sometimes. Like they sound great in the studio and you see them live and they're like, oh man, that was like super disappointing. Sometimes you're like,
Yeah.
oh, was that like, were they having a bad day? I'll catch them again just in case. And then second time they still suck. And you're like, oh man, okay.
I felt like that, like about like Modest Mouse. I saw them live, and I was like, why are they just like stopping between every single song to break down instruments and do this and that? Like it didn't flow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was
That's really
like
weird. What the fuck does
Yeah.
Modest Mouse need to do?
Exactly.
right. It was like they were just like it was weird. It was like I was just like, why are they like doing this again? What's going on? Like I don't know. It was just odd.
I
They
think
don't have any songs where they need to be doing that.
I think one of the worst live performances I've seen in my entire life was Marilyn Manson. It was like I didn't pay to see Marilyn Manson. He was at a festival. I saw him, and it was just like unbelievably bad. He was like so poked out of his mind that he was barely functioning on stage.
I worked at Aftershock, which is this, Sacramento rock metal festival.
Yeah.
As like a driver, I'd go pick people up one year, and I went and picked up a bus driver for one of these bands, and I was talking to him, and he was telling me like, yeah, I used to be Ozzy Osbourne's bus driver. He's like the best. He's a super fun guy. And I was like, the clear question is, who's the worst person that you worked for? And he's like, oh, Marilyn Manson. And he said that Marilyn Manson's a fucking dickhead, like just not a nice person and just like antagonistic and weird. And I mean, it checks out. He's definitely not like the coolest guy. That's been proven.
Yep. Yeah. I was say it doesn't surprise me at all. After everything that's kind of come out.
Well, and what's cool for you and your experience is that it didn't like shatter your illusion of who Marilyn Manson was. It's
That's
like,
true.
Yeah.
It's not like your favorite band was up there and all of a sudden they suck ass. It was like, oh yeah, this guy's definitely a dick, like for sure.
Right, exactly. He was like forgetting the lyrics to his own song, spitting everywhere, like
nice.
tripping over things on stage. Like it was, and he kept going off stage to obviously do more coke, and then coming back on. I'm like, dude, like this is so unprofessional.
My makeup fell off.
Yeah, because I've seen him twice, like twice at the same festival. First time he was obviously like a lot more sober, and it was a very different show. And that was kind of cool because Johnny Depp actually played the drums in secret. Yeah, no one knew it was
weird.
him because they're like super good friends. And
of course they are.
he was like filming one of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies at the Gold Coast, and he disappeared from set. Like no one could find Johnny Depp apparently, and then there was this different masked drummer. There was like a special. He's like, "Welcome, my special friend, to the show." Did the show? Then like it was revealed afterwards that was Johnny Depp.
What a trip! That was in Australia?
Yeah, it was.
That sounds fun. I want to go someday. It's on my bucket list for sure.
It's a great place, but I would say like from a music fan perspective, the US or Europe is where you want to be. I've seen more bands probably since I moved to the US a couple of years ago than I had the whole of my life before that, just because there's so much touring here and it's so goddamn cheap for shows. It's so expensive to see bands in Australia.
We'll have to play some free shows out there then.
It makes complete sense because bands have to pay for the airline ticket to get there. There's only a couple major cities and they're all like flying distance. You can drive, but you're going to lose like a lot of time. So to make up their costs, they kind of have to charge more.
From what I understand, touring and even just culturally, Australia is essentially just a ring.
Yeah.
It's just like the coast, and then the middle is like unoccupied, from what I understand.
Basically, yes. There's some stuff in the middle, but you really don't need to go there. There's nothing to see. Like
No, man.
for a band, there's nothing in the middle. And then even like you kind of just have all it really is Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Adelaide, and Perth. And Perth's like you have to really want to go to Perth as a band because it's like the other side of a continent basically, and there's nothing in between.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to an Aussie a while ago because I know somebody from Adelaide, and I told him that, and he goes, "Oh, Adelaide is the asshole of Australia." Do you agree with that?
I mean, they had to do a tourism campaign to try and stop young people from leaving because no one wanted to stay there, and they went with the very unfortunate Radelaide.
That's cool.
So it was like obviously some middle-aged dudes who are like, what are the young people like? I don't know, we'll call it Rad, and like Radelaide.
Yeah.
And they just ran with that. So that was their like
Yeah, but then
official
you get
slogan.
people changing it to Badelaide.
Yep.
With just a single stroke of the pen, you can change the R to the B.
Exactly. So I only just noticed we're kind of coming up towards time soon. Brendan always has some questions he likes to ask before we finish up, so I'll hand it over to him.
Go ahead.
Well, we talked about playing music, but what's your favorite place to play live in your city?
There's a couple. I mean, I kind of like everywhere that we've played for different reasons. We just played with Paul Bearer at this place called Harlow's, which is
Nice.
a great venue, has good sound, has great lighting, but is like really awkwardly set up. So that's the thing against it. And then there's the Cafe Colonial, which is connected to the Colonial Theater here in Sacramento. And that place is rad because of the vibe and the crowd that comes out. But it's also like really awkwardly laid out. And then there is the Colony, which is connected to the Cafe Colonial, which is connected to the theater. And that's literally just like a room with some speakers in it. And I love it for that reason. But the sound when you're in there playing, especially we play at such high volume that it's like kind of absurd on stage. I mean, last time we played there, the stage was vibrating under my feet so much that it was distracting me. It was like standing on a Hitachi magic wand or something. It was fucking crazy.
That's wild.
And I mean, to that note, I mean, one of my favorite shows that we've ever played in this area is we played at a little record store called The Audio Nerd, and they just like moved some shit out of the way, and we set up, and Steve, the owner of The Audio Nerd, brought out this crazy old PA and hooked it up, and then we just blasted the shit out of this little record store, and it was really fun. So, I mean, to me, the room is not so important, not so much as like, I just want people to be there and have fun, and
Right.
feel comfortable and enjoy the music. And that's, I mean, I'll play, I don't know, I'll play fucking wherever. We always joke about, there's this picture, I'm sure you guys have seen it, but it's like some band is playing in like, I don't even know, fucking Iraq or something, and there's just like a goat in the middle of the crowd looking at them.
Oh, yeah.
And Jacob, our drummer, always says like, I would play to three guys and a goat. That's like, we'll do it. You know, the venue is not as important. If there's enough speakers, or if there's enough volume from the speakers that my voice can be carried out over the amps, then we'll play.
That's awesome.
You know,
And
to
then-
me, the venue is never the shittiest part of a bad show.
Right.
Right.
It's either having to deal with somebody who's in a bad mood, or the other bands aren't being professional. That's the number one thing that pisses me off, is people not having their, having a fucking control over what's going on.
Right.
Yeah. Nice. What's your favorite song to play live of yours?
So we've kind of decided / agreed upon, because it's so obvious, that we're going to be playing the song Halo probably forever.
Yeah.
And it's a really difficult song for us to play live, only for about 5 seconds, because they need to be able to hear my voice, which doesn't always happen, and I need to be able to hear my voice enough to deliver the proper pitch to do this vocal intro to the song. It's just a cappella.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's so much fun to play, and we always have a good time. It's really high energy. It has like big highs and lows, and it's only like
Yeah.
6 or 7 minutes long. So
Yep.
playing the ones that are like 14 to 15 minutes long can be really stressful. So the shorter the song, usually the more fun it is to play live.
Yeah.
We're working
Right
on a
on.
cover song right now too that might end up in the live set that's only 2 minutes long, and it's so crazy because we'll go to practice and play it like 10 times in a row, and it's only been a half hour. It's fucking, we're not used to that
That's
at all.
well, I was gonna say, I was gonna actually ask you about, you did your Nirvana's covers. Have you ever played covers live?
We've never incorporated a cover into our normal set. We have
Yeah.
done cover sets, but we've never like played a couple of our own tracks and then played a cover. That's never happened. But this new song that we're learning, that I won't tell you guys what it is on recording, um, is short enough and it's heavy enough and it's fun enough that I feel like, if we have an extra 3 minutes or fuck it, let's play this song, and we might start doing that. Who knows?
Hell yeah! Like end the night with it or something.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. What? Where are we gonna eat food? Where are we going?
Well, what day of the week is it? Is it Thursday night practice or is it Saturday morning practice?
Ooh, let's go for both.
Thursday night sucks. There's this shitty fucking Mexican restaurant that the other guys like called El Forastero, and I hate it. I had the worst carne asada of my life there. It came out in one giant piece of flank steak. It wasn't. They didn't even cut it up.
Oh,
And I only had a plastic butter knife to cut it with, and it was like roadkill meat. It was super tough. I hate that
like
place.
a tongue.
Yeah, yeah. And then we get Chipotle sometimes, which is cool. But then when my drummer gets fucking tired of Chipotle, which whatever. We get Jim Boy's Tacos, which is a Sacramento staple. I don't get anything other than the tacos because anything other than the tacos stinks at that place. But if it's Saturday morning, now we're talking. Now we go to this diner called Little Joe's,
All right.
which is what we also call our bass player Little Joe or Baby Joe, as I said earlier, because he's the band baby. That's where you can get some. Your waitress will have gold teeth, which I really like.
Love it.
And there's just like the people that go in there. There's just some trippy ass characters that go in there. There's a guy that wears like scrubs, but he's also looks like he's had insane plastic surgery to his face. I think the other day I saw him and I called him Dr. Love because he just looks like a Dr. Love for sure. He looks like the kind of guy that would he would do that like dick lengthening surgery that doesn't work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, here's a Bruce Campbell reference for you. Have you guys seen Escape from L.A.?
Yes. Yep.
Bruce Campbell in Escape from L.A., his fucking creepy plastic surgery face. He looks like that guy, but he's wearing scrubs to a diner for no reason. And that place is great. The food's awesome and it's cheap. And then there's another place that we used to go to all the time that's by the old Earthtone Studios where we would record, and it's called Jalisco Grill. And shockingly, not only is their Mexican food incredible, but they also have one of the best cheeseburgers I've ever had.
Nice.
So, fucking A, that's where I want to go to eat, basically.
Hell yeah. Nice. And then musically, did you like take voice training lessons and things like that when you were a kid growing up, or did you just always sound beautiful?
What you hear when you say that I sound beautiful is a recording, which is not real life. In real life, you don't get to do shit over. I actually have all kinds of problems with my voice, and I just use the usable range of my voice, which is very small, but I try to, it's not the size of the boat, it's the motion of the ocean type of thing with my voice, basically.
All right.
I also still have like puberty voice, even though I'm 30. My voice still cracks all the time, especially at the end. Like I'm a waiter at a restaurant, and after a long shift of just talking all day, my voice will definitely crack. So I've actually been considering going to a vocal coach just to help with my everyday speech. not necessarily like my singing. Of course, I would love to learn more voice control, but
Yeah.
even just my speaking voice, I have all kinds of issues with. So I'm making do with the tools that I have vocally, and I'm proud of what is on the records for sure.
Hell yeah. Nice. And then basically, like, well, you play guitar, right?
Yeah, I play guitar.
Yeah. So did you learn that when you're growing up, or?
Yeah, I started playing guitar when I was 13. My dad got me a guitar from Best Buy that came with a little amp.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any lessons. I kind of just stumbled around. A good friend of mine growing up also started kind of playing guitar at the same time as me, and we would kind of play off of each other and kind of, oh, check out what I learned here, try this, and it was really slow going. I'm still not an advanced guitar player after playing for like 17 years now.
Yeah.
But at this point, I don't even give a shit about like technicality. I don't give like if you can fucking like look at Yngwie Malmsteen, like that dude can shred, but he can't write a song.
Yes.
Right.
Agreed.
Like have you ever heard like fucking, not to bag on him because I kind of like him, but like a Steve Vai song and been like, oh my god, my life has changed? Like not really, but just a guy with an acoustic guitar playing like two chords can be life affirming or life changing or whatever. It's
Right.
some people do get everything that they need out of music with like progressive rock and shredding and technical stuff, but technical stuff is cool if you can use it in a way that makes a really compelling song. But other than that, like, I mean, I don't really care.
I
look at
personally,
the genre of music. I play doom metal. It's about being slow, and songs take forever. Nobody's out here shredding and sweep picking and stuff.
Yeah.
I personally rate atmosphere above technicality almost any day of the week.
Oh,
Me
definitely.
100%.
Like to me, I mean, are you guys like into ambient music at all?
Yep.
Yeah.
So you look at something like William Basinski,
Yes.
obviously disintegration loops, obviously like melancholia, but like water music. I don't know if you guys have heard water music.
No, I haven't heard that
It's
one.
just like it's like a shimmering kind of amorphous, shapeless chord, kind of just going on and on for like an hour, 2 hours or something. And I like it, and it takes technically very little skill to produce something like that, but to me it's really interesting and deep.
Yeah.
Or there's that I don't know if you guys have heard this, it's like Pharoah Sanders and Floating Points album. And it's the kind of the concept of the album is that they only play the same two chords in the same order over and over the whole album. And then everything else around those two chords is kind of like adornment and decoration that comes on and comes off.
Interesting.
And that was one of the most compelling things I heard in a long time. And it's so cyclical and repetitive that most people wouldn't be able to get through 5 minutes of it.
Right. Right.
Interesting.
That's
It's like
home.
yes. I was gonna say, but like, do you listen to like any like ritual ambient stuff?
I don't know. Do you have like an example? I don't
Yeah,
think I've heard that specific term before.
So it's like my favorite one is Shabalba from Greece. Have you ever heard of them?
No, how do you spell that?
Shishalbalba. I think Shabalba. I'll send you a link to it after this podcast because it's fascinating. It's called ritual ambient because it's like
definitely send me a link because that sounds really fucking weird.
it is. It's like super dark and haunting. It uses like a lot of traditional instruments, a lot of like monastic chanting.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be my kind of thing.
Sweet. Yeah, I'll send it over to you. It's awesome. And then if you like ambient stuff, there's actually an awesome label from Oregon called Cryo Chamber that just does like ambient and dark ambient.
I'm pretty sure I've heard this. I might follow them on social media or something. That sounds familiar.
Awesome.
So
So
yeah,
did you derail?
the monastic kind of singing reminds me of like David Hikes. I found a David Hikes record at a record shop sometime. I think it's called, oh my god, something with the voice, but he's making ambient music but with a choir.
Huh.
It's so fucking weird, and they do these like crazy rising and falling vocal movements of like sort of atonal, almost like Christoph Penderecki, but with no orchestra, with just people's voices like in a room.
Huh.
It's really crazy shit, and I love that kind of stuff. And I would love to put more wild shit like that, but the other guys in the band are just like, dude, this is too much. Like, let's get to the point. Where's the riff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a validity to it. Don't bore us, get to the chorus kind of thing. Like if you listen to the new Chrome Ghost record, the longest that you have to wait to get to the vocals is in the song Where Black Dogs Dream, and I think it's like 45 seconds.
Right.
But House of Falling Ash, The Furnace, and Rose and Bloom, the vocals all start within like 2 seconds, because that is how you hook somebody. You have to have vocals. I'm sorry, guitar riffs are amazing, but if you want to hook people that aren't just riff monster metalheads, you have to have the voice somewhere.
Right.
And so that was a conscious decision where we were like, let's do the opposite of like what would Electric Wizard do? They would have 1.5 minutes of just the same riff over and over again, which is cool. I like it. But what about the song starting immediately with the vocal? And there is a lot of that, that's a legit complaint that my bandmates would have, that they don't want to do the 10-minute intro post-rock build-up thing,
Right.
I'll give them credit.
Hell yeah.
Was there any more questions? Did we reach the end?
I think we did it.
Yeah, it's just on time too.
That was easy.
So is there anything sort of that you want to just touch on before we wrap up, or you basically think we've covered everything?
I don't know, man. People can follow us on social media. That would help. I basically only used Instagram. It's the only social media website thing that I can fucking stand using. I will drop a little nugget on the podcast, is that we're going to release 3 cover songs this year, one every 4 months. So people should keep their eye out for that. It'll probably be like, if you want to download it, it'll be pay whatever you want, and they'll be obviously on Spotify and stuff. But I'm thinking more about, I am a firm believer in an album. I never put music on shuffle. I think that's fucking satanic. I think it's disgusting. I think if you're going to put a record on, you should start it at the beginning and you should turn it off at the end.
Yep.
But I also am like aware that music marketing now is not about that at all. It's about songs, and songs being incredibly short. Fucking, in my opinion, bullshit. 1.5 minutes, little Uzi Vert song that doesn't go anywhere, doesn't do anything.
Right. Does he even say anything?
I mean, that's up to interpretation. But I am also aware that, like, it would probably be a good idea to kind of just like leave trails of breadcrumbs for people to follow, instead of like coming out with a 10-course meal and being like, I hope you're hungry. Eat up.
Right.
Most people would be like, hey, I'm good. But if you're like, hey, here's a cookie, come over here, I have another cookie, they might be like, oh, this is, I like this. So we're going to try that strategy. We're writing a new record that won't be done this year. So I guess future people be aware that there will be something new at some point. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't have anything else to promote. Chrome Ghost is like my thing.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. We're obviously big fans, as you mentioned, so it meant a lot that you actually took the time to come on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, we'd love to have you on when the next album comes out to talk about that one.
Yeah, for sure. I will say that you guys, for being cave dwellers, are very eloquent and well spoken.
Thank you. We appreciate that. All right. Well, everyone.
Clearly, it's like that Plato's cave illusion, and you guys have been watching a lot of Hooked on Phonics.
My cave mom has been teaching me well.
Yeah. All right. Well, cheers, guys. I really appreciate having me on.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for everyone for listening, and tune in next time. We'll have another guest next time.